Every spring used to get under my skin. I'd scroll endlessly through gardening feeds, everybody flashing their half-acre orchards and straight rows of fruit trees, backyards looking more like national gardens than anywhere I'd ever lived. And me, stuck with a tiny balcony, thinking, well, that'll never be me. So I did what they say, bought little herb kits, nursed a sad basil plant, called it a garden. 3 weeks and it was toast. But then things flipped. I found out about actual fruit trees. Not little bonsais, not novelty plants, but real heavy-hitting fruit trees you can grow in nothing but a container. Not just survive either. These things thrive. They produce. One of them even paid me back in fruit in a single season. No exaggeration.
I'm not guessing here. I've planted these with my own hands and waited to see what they do on a cramped balcony just like mine. Some grew faster than I expected. One tree, honestly, was so productive out the gate, I still don't totally believe it. We'll get to that. Today, I'm counting down 10 of the best fruit trees for containers. They're all here because they don't just tolerate containers, they absolutely own them. There's a good reason for each: practical, financial, old-school common sense. The kind of trees your great-grandparents would have said yes to without thinking twice. We start at number 10, and by the time we hit number 1, I guarantee your whole idea of what you can do in a small space will change. But before I hit the list, help me out. My mom swears I can't even reach 1,000 subscribers, but info like this deserves a bigger audience. Tap that subscribe button, help me prove her wrong, and let's make gardening stories a little louder. All right, here we go.
Number 10. Pomegranate, the indestructible fruit tree. Most people hear pomegranate and picture something expensive and temperamental, sold in fancy garden centers with care instructions longer than a lease agreement. But really, pomegranates might be the most forgiving fruit tree you'll ever put in a pot. Dwarf types like Nana or State Fair have compact roots built for containers. They're comfortable, almost relaxed in a 15 to 20-gallon bucket. Here's a tip: you don't even need to buy the pot. Walk into a bakery or restaurant and ask for used food-grade containers. They'll probably hand them to you, glad to be rid of them. Once established, a single pomegranate in a decent container gives you 15 to 30 fruits a year. With organic pomegranates at $3 a pop, that's $50 to $75 or more from one pot plant. But the real reason people love container pomegranates: they forgive you. Miss a watering, get stuck with work for a few days, no meltdown. If you're new to pots, that's not just handy, it keeps you in the game. Number 9. Figs. This one breaks all the rules. If you think figs just tolerate pots, think again. Figs actually prefer being a bit root-bound. Something about the cramped space tells them it's time to pump out the fruit. You're not stressing them, you're mimicking their natural survival instincts. Varieties like Petite Negra or Chicago Hardy are made for container growing. I've seen a single pot of figs produce over 100 fruits. Not a typo. Here's a trick. During fruiting, let the soil dry out a touch between waterings. This makes the figs taste even sweeter. And the taste? There's no comparison to what you grab at the store, if you can even find them. Store figs go for $6 to $8 for a tiny punnet. Your own pot produces fruit that's so much better, you'll forget grocery figs even exist.
Number 8. Blueberries. Here's where the container isn't a limitation, it's actually a perk. The thing about blueberries, they're picky about soil pH. In the ground, you fight constant battles to keep it acidic enough. In a container, you control everything. peat moss, specialized potting mix, you get perfect conditions right from the start. Go for compact varieties like Top Hat or Peach Sorbet. One mature bush in a pot will hand you 3 to 5 pounds of berries every season. At $5 to $7 a pound organic, a single plant pays for itself the very first year. But best of all, you can move them. Frost coming? Roll the pot closer to shelter. Need more sun? Scoot it to the other side of the patio. Adjusting soil? Just tweak the mix in the container. That kind of flexibility is like free insurance for your harvest. Number 7. Meyer lemons. Stay with me. There's a reason everyone talks about Meyer lemons on patios. Sure, you've seen the social media shots, but the reason it works, Meyer lemons are ever-bearing. Flowers, baby fruit, and ripe lemons all at once. It doesn't have a real season, it just keeps going. One good tree, 50 to 100 lemons every year. And here's the fun part. Meyer lemons in pots are actually easier to keep happy than those in the ground. Cold snap, bring the plant inside. Pests, treat one pot, not an entire grove. The whole system is just simpler. Best part, when these trees bloom, the scent is unreal. The blossoms alone lift your whole space up, and then there's the fruit. Number 6. Dwarf peaches. These flip the script on stone fruit. Most people assume peaches can't do pots. They haven't met varieties like Bonanza or El Dorado, bred to stay under 6 feet, self-pollinate, and produce the same juicy, full-sized peaches you'd find, if you were lucky, in high-end markets. Store peaches are picked early so they can survive shipping. That kills flavor. Your own container peach ripens properly on the tree. Eat one sun-warmed on your patio, juice running down your chin, you'll know why you bothered. A single patio peach drops 20 to 40 full-sized fruits per year. With organic peaches at $3 to $4 a pound, it's obvious. And if birds are a headache, just toss a net over the pot. Total protection in minutes. Can't do that with a 15-foot orchard tree. Quick side note, if you're finding this helpful, hit like or subscribe. Gardeners everywhere need less grocery bill and more homegrown fruit. Number 5. Dwarf cherries. The answer to a problem you didn't know could be solved. Ask anyone who's grown full-sized cherries their biggest frustration: birds. Just as the fruit ripens, the birds strip the tree bare overnight. But with dwarf patio cherries like Romeo or Juliet, 5 minutes with bird netting and your crop is protected. One tree gives you 10 to 15 pounds of cherries each year. With store cherries selling for $8 to $10 a pound, it's over $100 a year of fruit. Plus, in spring, the tree is covered with blossoms, productive and beautiful.
Number 4. Columnar apples. These trees shouldn't exist, but they do. Picture a fruit tree that grows straight up, 8 to 10 feet tall, no wider than a floor lamp, making full-size apples. 3 of these will fit on a balcony. Each tree gives you 15 to 25 apples a year, and the apples store for months. At $3 to $4 a pound for organic, you've just turned a small corner into part of your grocery budget. On top of that, the narrow shape makes it easy to keep an eye on problems. You spot pests right away, instead of searching through a jungle of branches. Number 3. Strawberries. Not technically a tree, I know, but leave them off and I'd be lying. Ever-bearing varieties in pots will give you fresh berries almost every day in season. 6 to 8 plants fit easily in one container, with pounds of fruit off something smaller than a kitchen chair. But the real magic? They send runners. Pot those up and suddenly your strawberry patch starts expanding by itself. Minimal effort and it just keeps going.
Strawberries are an expensive letdown compared to what you'll pick yourself, and you can grow strawberries vertically in towers or hanging baskets. They win the Space Efficiency Award, hands down. Number 2. Avocado. Yes, really. Dwarf avocados like Wurtz or Little Cardo will fruit in containers. A mature plant gives you 20 to 30 avocados a year, and at $2–3 a pop in stores, you can do the math fast. Do they test your patience? For sure. You wait 3–4 years for real crops, which turns a lot of people away. But unless you're going to quit buying avocados for the next few years, you're going to keep spending at the store either way. Dwarf avos are self-pollinating, so one tree is enough, and if it gets cold, you can just bring it inside. That container makes your growing season nearly year-round. Number 1. Dwarf banana. This honestly floored me. Most people laugh at the idea of bananas in a pot, but dwarf varieties like Cavendish or Super Dwarf will load up with 50 to 100 full-size bananas in one harvest, all out of a bucket on your patio. But what makes bananas number 1 here isn't the yield, it's the magic trick that happens next. After it fruits, the main stalk dies back, then new shoots pop up, pups. You pop them up, give them away, or start another plant. Your original banana multiplies itself for free. Growing your first bunch in a container, standing there actually holding your own homegrown bananas, that experience is something else. It defies what most people think is even possible in small spaces. And that's really the point. You don't need a farm. You just need the right tree, a decent container, and the will to start.